and you can download a PDF which gives you a lot more background. Enough of that, but you do need to know not just what kind of person you are, what kind of persons you're around. Who are your colleagues? It helps you to understand when you're working in a work group or team what each other's strengths are and also where any gaps might be. So starting off at the first step in the innovation process, that of finding the opportunity. Opportunities occur largely because of social change. People changing their behavior creates new needs. What we're interested in is what effect has that social change had on our customer. I remember back when I was living in the UK, I was chief executive of a brand leader in that country, and this is going to give my age away a little. It was shortly after the wedding of Charles and Diana, and a huge social change hit the country. The brand that I was running, we engaged David and Elizabeth Emanuel, who were the designers of the famous wedding dress, and they designed a range of products for us. And we actually used Marks and Spencer's as our distribution arm. And we, I'll be frank, made a lot of money out of that because we responded to social change. So find the change that is out there and change your offering. Don't keep looking for new customers to sell your old product to. Find new offerings to satisfy your present customers because they are much easier to do business with than new customers. What you're looking for is a greenfield marketplace, one that has not been touched by anyone else. And the way you're going to find that is through open networking. Friends of friends, colleagues of colleagues, people 2 and 3 degrees of separation from where you are now are the people you need to be connecting with. And this activity that I've just described to you is separate from the solutioning part. That's the next step, where we find the solution. In both this and the solutioning steps, that networking is absolutely crucial because breakthroughs are going to occur at the intersection of bodies of knowledge. It's a concept that's been around for decades. We used to call it the think tank, where you mix people from widely diverse disciplines together and come up with new ideas. There's nothing new about that. So connecting to the solution means that, first of all, we need to define exactly what is the customer's problem. And I'm going to give you another quote now. I love this one. It's from Albert Einstein. He said, "If I had an hour to save the world, I'd spend 55 minutes defining the problem and 5 minutes finding the solution." I think that's a wonderfully cool statement, an hour to save the world. So define the problem, and then importantly, this is where we really step out of the box, where we go to totally new worlds and see how they're doing things. Perhaps one of the best pieces of history relating to this is Henry Ford. He was looking for new ways to produce large volumes of automobiles. He was looking, how do I do mass production? Well, one day he was walking around a meat factory. Nothing to do with cars. He saw all the meat hanging on hooks, and for decades afterwards, that's how car part factories worked. The parts hung on hooks and moved around the factory. So find your ideas in new environments. This takes time. The epiphany will not come quickly, and when it does come, it will seem incredible. Perhaps the greatest example of this is our good friend Archimedes. And of course, you all remember your school physics lesson where our physics teacher said to us, well, Archimedes discovered the concept of specific gravity one day when he had a bath, and of course the water overflowed and he ran down the street naked shouting, "Eureka! I found it!" Well, what the physics teacher did not tell you was perhaps the most important part of that. He took a bath. He relaxed. And that's what we don't do well. We don't step out of our current environment, relax, and allow our thoughts to expand. Because that's where you find those new ideas, allowing yourself space. And importantly, we need to give ourselves as many solutions as possible. The phrase I like for this comes from Linus Pauling, the Nobel Prize physicist. He said the best way to get a good idea is to get lots of ideas. And that's what you want at this stage, lots of ideas, and be ready to give up what you always thought was sacred. So, just a word of warning here when we're doing solutioning. In the world of quality, we have tended to stick in the analytical mode when finding solutions. And because of data analysis, we tend to find solutions that are very much within the status quo. We find a broken step in the process. We find, oh, the requirements are not clear and things like that. That does not move you forward. It keeps you where you are, just makes it a little bit better. And so what we need is a much more lateral approach, or as Edward de Bono used to call it, lateral thinking approach to sorting out opportunities. And that's where, again, stepping out of the box, mixing with new people to get fresh ideas, and get those new people from your customer base, from potential new suppliers. Talk to those people, include them in your creative work. And you might say, well, but we're giving our secrets away. No, you're not. Getting ideas is only the first part of the process. The real work is going to come in a moment. So don't worry about mixing with lots of people. So we're now at the tipping point in the innovation process. And this is where we need to choose which is the best solution. And this is where we so often go wrong because we are risk averse. We pick simple, should we say, non-threatening solutions, and we go for minor innovations. But far more profit comes from radical innovations. Work by, again, IBM in that survey I mentioned to you showed that the most profitable companies invest twice as much time and resources in innovation than do any of their competition. Overwhelming data to support that investment in innovation. More profit, but more risk. And so what we need is good data and information to make decisions at this point. Those people who are doing the creative stuff are not just blue sky gazing, they're also collecting information for us so we can start deciding which is the best or are the best solutions to go for. You may not just go for one solution, you may in fact try a couple or even three and work in parallel. You do not want to be trying 99 solutions. You spread yourself too thinly and you'll get nowhere. So you look at each potential solution based on how long is it going to take, what potentially could it cost, and what's the risk attached to this. And when I talk about risk, I'm not so much talking internal risk, external risk. We measure it, project managers will measure internal risk till the cows come home, as they say. They don't look at external risk. Guaranteed, if you've got a new offering, you've got a new business partner or a new supplier, you need to evaluate them in terms of how well are they managed, not in terms of does their component work or are their customers happy. You want to look inside their business. Are they well managed? Will they deliver? That's what you need to know. That's a key part of your risk assessment. And how radical is our new offering? Is it something that when the competition looks at it, when it hits the marketplace, they say, wow, how did they think of that? That's what you're looking for. So you set your strategy, and you now know your risks, so you're in a position to mitigate those risks. And another quote for you. It comes from the British financier James Goldsmith. If you see a bandwagon it's too late. Remember that. If other people are doing it, forget it. You're not in the game. They're already ahead of you. So now we come to the game changer. We move into the execution phase, and all those creative people that I've been talking about all up till now, some of them stay with the project, but others may go back looking for new ideas. You want to reduce the numbers and allow a new kind of person into the team, the developers and the doers now. You see, what you're going to get from these execution people is a narrowing of focus. We've only got 2, maybe even 1 solution that we're pursuing, and a change in behavior. No longer that loose, blue sky kind of behavior, but now a narrow focus where time is of the essence and we move with speed. So a key job for the leadership, by the way, is to make sure that change in behavior occurs, because people love the blue sky stuff. They're not so keen on the, get it done kind of mode. So we now move with speed, and just to explain what I was saying, the content of your project team shifts away from the creators and connectors, much more to the developers and the doers. So we're now in the second phase of the innovation cycle, where we make the solution friendly and where we get it out there to the market. In the development stage, time is absolutely of the essence. Forgive the photograph, I just rather like it, I know it looks rather historical, a pair of dividers and a slide rule and stuff, but it's got a certain art to it, and there's a lot of feeling to it. Looks much nicer, I think, than a screen, on a computer. So avoid staying loose. Remember, our job is to make the solution work, and the way we do this is through a closed network, not that open network I talked about. Now, the good news is your project team will actually by now have gotten to know each other, all those creators and connectors, so they will form a closed network quite easily. What your challenge is to get the new people, the developers and doers, engaged in that network. You don't want them falling into 2 camps. Involve the customer now very closely. The more you engage the customer, the more friendly will be your solution. And you need to keep monitoring as the risk changes, as the budget changes. You need to keep a close eye on things. When we suddenly get these dramatic doublings of budget that you hear about in projects, it's because people haven't been looking closely enough in this second phase. And this is a quote you will have heard many times from Thomas Edison. Genius is 1% inspiration. That's already happened. 99% perspiration. This is the hard work. Now, another bit of statistics for you here. That creative phase, research has shown, is probably only 20% of your budget.